Now, let's talk about new crafts in the city. As we discussed that there were a lot of craftsmen who were living at that time. They used to practice their crafts, for example, pottery, bakery, repeat. So, as we discussed that there were a lot of craftsmen living at that time. New crafts developed. So, what were the new crafts at that time? Crafts of the Harappan city consisted of jewelry making, pottery making, etc. The archaeologists found a lot of jewelry pieces which are made from stone, shells and metals, including copper, bronze, gold and silver. It is not a new phenomenon that gold and silver metals were used for making jewelry, but in the early times, copper metal, bronze metal were also used along with wood, along with different kind of materials such as shells in order to develop jewelry. So these jewelry, they were not only worn by women at that time, they were worn by men as well. As you can see here, here is a picture of jewelry that was worn in an early era. I am sure you must have seen such images in your books as well. Ornaments. As we discussed that craftsmen, they started to make... So, as we discussed that craftsmen, they started to make jewelry out of different kind of metals, stones, etc. There were ornaments that were developed. Now, what are ornaments? Ornaments included necklaces, bracelets, bangles, finger rings, toe rings, armlets, etc. What are armlets? That are worn on the arms. So, these are worn by men and women both. Silver was more common than gold because of course gold was expensive. People used to prefer silver jewelry at that time. Glazed ceramic was also used to make bangles. Just like we have lakh bangles in today's time, there were ceramic bangles at that time. Beads, small vessels, etc. were also constructed from ceramic material. So, what about tools and weapons? Of course, there was jewelry, but there were craftsmen like blacksmith who used to work with iron and make tools and weapons, which were important for survival of the early humans. So, they used to use these tools in order to hunt and gather things and for farming as well. So, copper, bronze, iron were used at that time to make these tools and weapons. Let's talk about Harappan seals now. What are seals? Seals are symbols that were used by early men in order to determine from which city they were coming. So, seals were in different forms, they were in different sizes and shapes. They were either circular, rectangular or squared. They were made specifically on stone at that time. In today's time, we make seals on different kind of material, but earlier, since these materials were not available, people used to make seals on stones. What was there on these seals? Since they were stamped, there were intricate designing on these seals. What was it about? So, archaeologists have found these seals and they discover that there were inscriptions with pictures of one-horned unicorns, buffaloes, elephants, antelopes and other kinds of animals. So, men and women, they used to carry these seals with them. There were also proofs that these seals and these designs were found on other equipment such as pots and plates. These seals were made of steatite or faience. These are the material which were man-made at that time. So, let's have a look at that. Faience. Now, faience is a material that is artificially made. Earlier, as we discussed, a lot of things were naturally provided with the environment. So, early humans, they used to gather and take things from the environment and they used to make things out of it. But faience was one such material which was man-made, which was artificially made. So, a gum was used to shape sand or powdered quartz into an object. So, there was sand which was used in order to form faience. A gum kind of material, a sticky material was there with which we used to shape the sand and powdered quartz into different kind of objects. These objects later on were glazed, resulting in a bright, shining and glassy surface material. So, the colors of the glaze were also usually blue or sea green. So, the colors that came out were usually blue or sea green or the shades of blue. Faience was used to make beads, different kind of ornaments, bangles, earrings, tiny vessels, plates, pots, etc. So, cotton was also probably grown in the early city of Mehergarh. We have talked about Mehergarh in the chapters to come, and there are proofs that cotton material was also grown at that time. It was about 7,000 years ago. pieces of cloth were found which give us a proof that cotton and woven material was used by early people to make cloth and different kind of clothing material. So archaeologists have also found spindle. You know what is a spindle? It is a tool which was used to weave cloth, and terracotta and faience. So spindle wheels were also used to spin thread. Thread was made from cotton balls using these spindles. Specialists were there in order to weave this clothes. Of course, you and I, we cannot make clothes. We need proper weavers in order to make and produce cloth from the cotton and raw material. So there were specialists who were designed to do this job. There were people and craftsmen who had their specialization in this, and they used to work in their workshops in order to make cloth items. Not everybody could have been a specialist at that time, of course. So perhaps some women and men may have been specialists. So there were some women as well as men who used to work at their homes, in their workshops, in order to produce cotton cloth. We spoke about specialists. So this work, this artwork, this intricate work of designing cloth, it was done by specialists. So let's find out who were specialists. So nobody can be specialist. Do you think you and I can be specialist in making cloth, or for example making pottery? No, we can't. A specialist is a person who's trained, who's skilled to do only one kind of work. Okay. For example, a potter is skilled and trained in making pottery, pots, etc. So he is a specialist of pottery. So such people, they were trained people and skilled people at that time who used to work in their workshops, in their homes, in order to perform their craft and make items out of it. So here you can see one picture, one image that gives us the proof that there were specialists, well-trained craftsmen who used to prepare their craft.